This is Patrick, and in our lesson today we are going to learn about computer hardware categories, and in these hardware computer categories we are going to identify the four major computer hardware categories. So let us move together as we learn or understand these hardware categories of a computer. Before, let us first understand what are computer hardware. Computer hardware, these are the physical parts of the computer that can be seen and touched. So we have been using these computer hardware devices. At least we understand when we talk about computer hardware, and these are the devices that we always use on our computers such that we can perform different tasks or solve different problems. Now let us identify some of these categories. The first category, we have the input hardware devices. We also have the output hardware devices, and number 3, we have the processing hardware devices as category number 3, and the last category we have the storage hardware devices. So these are our types of the categories of computer hardware. So devices that we always use to solve computer related problems, and those devices are physically seen, you can touch them, they are under those 4 categories. Now let us identify or understand what are input devices together with the examples of these devices. Input devices, these are devices used to enter or feed data into a computer in different forms like text, images and sound. So whenever we are using a computer and there is any task or any problem you want to solve, say you want to type text, you use an input device. You have images, sound. So those are the devices categorized as input devices. Then let us identify some of the examples of these input devices. Among those input devices or examples of input devices, we have a computer keyboard. Of course, this is now what we use to enter text, numbers and symbols into the computer. And then we have a microphone, specifically when we do with music, especially musicians use these microphones, or in some gatherings microphones are used to feed the sound into the computer. And then we have a mouse. This is our small device which we use to interact with the computer, and we can use it to open files by double clicking on them. We can use it to select, that is when we click or when we press the left button once to select an item, or we can even use it to move the cursor around the computer's desktop, that is our mouse. We also have a webcam. This one is used when you want to interact with a friend in video form That is when you're capturing information and you sending or you're interacting with a friend visually using internet. Some people call it video conferencing, others can use it. These days we always conduct Zoom meetings, so we use a webcam to deal with a webcam. Then we have a digitizer. Now a digitizer works as a mouse, but a digitizer is mostly used in architectural drawings. Architects use it for the task of tracing out or drawing those lines. Then we have the touchpad. This one is very common. Everyone is using the touchpad, especially to smartphones. So it is an example of an input. Then we have the digital camera. A digital camera captures images and converts them into digital form. So we use it also as an input. We have a joystick, specifically used in controlling video games. We have a scanner, which is also used to convert images into digital form. We have a light pen, and lastly we also have the barcode reader. So those are some of the examples of those devices categorized as input devices. Then let us identify our second category, that is the output devices. These are devices that are used to review information after processing operation. Or we can even say that output devices are peripheral devices that the computer uses to produce information. So those devices that we use to review information after the processing operations are what we call output devices. Examples of these output devices: we have a monitor. Of course, everyone has seen a monitor. We also have a projector, which is used to project or to display information on a plain wall or on a whiteboard. So we use it also as an output. We have a printer, which is used to produce information on a piece of paper. And we also have a plotter. Specifically, a plotter is used also to produce information, but in large format, especially in architectural drawings. Then lastly, example 5, we have the loudspeakers. These speakers are used also to produce sound, and people are able to hear, especially in communication. So speakers are used in that process. Then our category 3, we have the storage devices or drives. And when we talk about the storage devices or drives, these are the ones that are used to record and retrieve items to and from a storage media. So people always use these drives to read movies, especially people who have DVDs with movies. They use these drives to record. Then we have those media, or the ones we call storage media. A storage media refers to electronic media that is used to store data. So the ones which act as storage media are those that contains the data that you insert the media into the drive. Some of the examples, first, those examples of the drives, we have the floppy disk drive. These ones were used to read the floppy diskettes during that time when floppy diskettes were used as storage media. So they were used to read and write information on them. Then we have the hard disk drives. We have the compact disk drives. 4, we have the magnetic tape drive, and then lastly we have the DVD drive. Those are the examples of storage devices or drives. Then examples of the storage media. Among them we have a hard disk. This one is very important in anyone's computer, which is the internal storage of the computer. That without a hard disk there is nothing you can store into the computer. And then we have the magnetic tapes. These ones we use it basing on the technology. Magnetic tapes we use it during that time when people use it, the radio cassettes. So those tapes that contain the music that our grandparents used to enjoy, we use it as storage media. And then we have the flash disks. These ones are very common, and we use them to move files from one computer to another. We have the memory cards, all elastic. These ones we can find them in mobile phones. These days smartphones have additional storage devices, and these media use it for such additional space. Then we have the external hard disks. These ones are connected from outside via the USB ports of the computer to work as external storage devices. They have some vast space. You will find some external hard disks with the 1 terabyte. You can find hard disks with 500 gigabytes. So it depends on the size of these external hard disks. Then we have the digital versatile or digital video disks. They are also used for storage. These are the ones that contain the movies that we watch onto the computer. We can also use them for storing software programs. Some even use them for games, to store those games onto them. So they also use it as storage media. Then lastly, we have a CD, which is a compact disc, which is also used as a storage media. Then our next category is the processing devices. Processing devices, these are devices which temporarily holds data and instructions while processing is happening. So remember, when we sit or when we are using computers, computers process data into information. So you find that anything that is done in the computer has to be processed, and processing takes place within the processing devices. And remember, the computer uses the binary language to interpret all the instructions or commands given to it. So processing devices are responsible for that task. Examples of these processing devices, we have the central processing unit, and this is now the brain of the computer. That a computer without a central processing unit cannot work, and we always refer to the central processing unit as the brain of a computer, the CPU. Then we also have another example, that is the motherboard. This is the spine of the computer. It is found inside the system unit, where most of the devices, both devices connected outside or the external devices and devices that are inside the computer system unit, they are all connected to the motherboard. Still on the motherboard, we have the ports where we always attach these devices we use. We also have a network card, which is also an example of a processing devices. Preferably, the network card is used for networking, exchanging data between one computer to another using an Ethernet cable, or sometimes we call it the network cable, or the UTP, unshielded twisted pair. So we connect it via the network card. Then we have the sound card, where we connect our speakers now to convert the sound through the speakers. Then we have the Bluetooth adapter. These ones, I use it in the process of converting the data that has to be exchanged wirelessly from one Bluetooth adapter to another Bluetooth adapter. Then number 6, we have the graphics processing unit. This is now the device which is responsible for processing the graphics with taking place within the computer. Then we have the random access memory, or sometimes abbreviated as RAM. This is the working memory of the computer. Then lastly, we have the video card, where we connect our video cable, the cable that connects to the monitor. Those are some of the categories of our computer hardware, and we have identified the input devices, the output devices, the processing devices, and the storage hardware devices. Thank you very much for listening to me. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Computer Elites Uganda. Please don't forget to share with your friends, and don't forget to leave a comment such that we can eliminate digital divide. Thank you very much. Let us meet in the next lesson. See you. We meet.